Hello everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to another video review. In this review we're looking at another product from StarTech.com. Now I'm not affiliated with them, it just happens to be that StarTech.com has a lot of cool and interesting gadgets, and I thought very long about whether or not I should buy this and whether or not it actually does what I think it does, and it turns out it actually does exactly what I was hoping it did. So we're looking at the DVI EDID emulator with EDID copy function. And what is EDID? So I'll try to explain it as simple as I can. When a graphics card gets connected to a monitor, so we have a monitor over here, and here's then a graphics card with a DVI connector. Yeah? The monitor tells the graphics card about the capability of the monitor, what kind of resolutions it can drive, what kind of color space it can do, the refresh rates, and so on. And usually that works pretty well, but sometimes you'd like the EDID information to be slightly different than what the monitor provides. I'll give two practical examples of my situation. Yeah? For example, I'm using a AVerMedia capture card. And when I use a graphics card which has a DVI output and I run that in MS-DOS, for some reason it will use a resolution of 1280 by 1024. That in itself is not a big problem, but the problem is that the AVerMedia can only capture at 50 frames per second at that resolution. Would the resolution be 1024 by 768, it could capture at 60 frames per second. And using this product, you can get around that. This product has two functions. It's got an EDID copy function, but let's have a look at the ports first. So this goes to the graphics card, this goes to the monitor. It needs a 5-volt power supply, which is supplied by a USB power cable. There's a little dial here, and it comes with a little screwdriver which allows you to turn that wheel, and there is a EDID copy button. So I'm just going to show you how this dial works. So here we have a list of all the settings. So if you set it to 0, it basically deactivates the device. If you set it to 1, what you need to do is you need to hook it up using the monitor that you like the EDID cable to be copied, and you set it to setting 1, and then you press the copy button on this side, this button here. But that's not really what I'm using. I'm using the presets. And there are two presets that are really interesting. Number 2 sets it to 1024 by 768, and the other interesting one is, for me, is number 8, 1600 by 1200, and I'll explain that as well. Another situation where this comes in handy is I've got a 24-inch Samsung monitor with a resolution of 1920 by 1200. Under VGA, if I use the VGA cable, the 1600 by 1200 resolution becomes available. I can just select it in the Windows settings. However, if I use DVI, the 1600 by 1200 setting is not available. It's got 1600 by 900 and higher resolutions. So there are ways around that. You can create a custom resolution or use some other utilities, but not every graphic card supports that. And if you're under DOS, then there's nothing you can do. So by setting this to 1600 by 1200, it tells the graphics card that basically it fakes a 1600 by 1200 resolution monitor. And after doing that, you can just select the 1600 by 1200 resolution in your Windows settings. So for me, this is very handy. It allows me to, when I do DVI captures in DOS, I just set it to 1024 by 768, and then the captures will happen at that resolution, allowing me to capture at 60 frames a second. And 1024 by 768 also looks a little bit better than the other resolutions. I don't know why that is, but for some reason 1024 by 768, every scalar monitor and display device handles that resolution really well. As usual, the postage was very steep directly from the website, so I got it off eBay. not a cheap gadget around $100, but it solved an issue that always annoyed me, and it just gives you a bit more control over what resolution you're driving, especially if you're using KVMs or switches or something like that. This might be helpful.